Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope you had a good weekend. So today, live on ServiceNow, we are going to be talking about accelerating FSM with AI, where we're going to discuss the new Now Assist virtual agent features released in the Yokohama Q2 2025 release. We have two new exciting Now Assist for virtual agent features. I'm going to be walking us through some introductory slides, and then Chris will kindly go through a demonstration showing us the two new features. Before we begin, I just wanted to put this on our screens and talk about the Safe Harbor notice. Um, this presentation may contain forward-looking statements based on our beliefs and assumptions and information that's available to us at the time of this presentation. And as such, they are subject to change. So please be cognizant of that when you're trying to make decisions. Um, so just wanted to mention that. All right. This is an introduction of the people who are going to be talking to you today. My name is Salmat. I'm a senior outbound product manager for FSM. And previously, I've had experience working in the field myself as a field service customer with Amazon, and before then as a field service technician with Schlumberger. So I'm really excited to talk about FSM at every opportunity I get. And then we have Chris Malloy. Chris, do you want to introduce yourself real quickly?
Yeah, how's it going, everybody? I'm Chris, and it's a pleasure to be here this, whatever time zone you're in, the morning, afternoon, or night, and really looking forward to sharing what we have with you today.
Yes, thank you, Chris. All right. The agenda for today's presentation, I'm going to be walking you through AI and FSM, just encompassing what we've done so far and what we're doing. And then we'll talk about what's new in the Yokohama Q2 2025 release, specifically the Now Assist virtual agent for FSM. And then Chris will be kind enough to walk us through a demonstration, a live demonstration of everything FSM, everything AI in FSM. Just a couple housekeeping, okay, a couple housekeeping items just for information today. We have saved time at the end of this presentation for your questions. We have Chris to answer questions, Andrew. We have team members that are willing and open to answering your questions. This session is for you. Ask us as many questions as you want. Submit your questions to the chat box and we will get to them. This presentation will also be recorded and shared on the ServiceNow community, so you can share them with your colleagues. You can refer back to it at any time that you want. And then at the end of the event, you'll be prompted to fill out a short survey. This survey allows us to be able to understand your needs, what you want to hear from us, what topics you want us to discuss, how you want us to better improve the sessions for you, because the sessions are for you. We're open to any and every feedback that you have. All right, now that we talked about housekeeping, just wanted to share also that we have a couple more coming as far as live on service now for FSM. We actually started a series in the month of May called the Getting Started with FSM, where we're going to be walking you through everything FSM. Our first session was May 22nd. We went through understanding FSM and its ecosystem. The next one will be June 18. We're talking about implementation leading best practices for FSM. So please feel free to scan the barcode, check the schedule, and join us for more sessions. We're going to have experts from expert services, some of our inbound product managers as well, live demonstrations, fellow professionals, practicals, whatever you may, please feel free to scan the barcode and join us for more sessions coming forth. And even beyond FSM, ServiceNow in general. All right, now let's go ahead and get started with AI and FSM. All right, so automation and AI, they've been around for such a long time now, and we have ServiceNow bringing AI together, bringing AI agents, workflows, data, connecting every corner of business and every platform. That's our goal here, right? And what it is really for us is with FSM, especially in ServiceNow, service managers and dispatchers can focus on strategic or complex job, like break fix work that requires emergency response, whether they need to get their technicians on site faster so that they can address customer requests real quickly, right? Or we want to boost technician productivity and we want that to skyrocket. Work orders can be closed more efficiently with playbooks or Gen AI created work order summaries. We also have chat summaries, suggested resolutions, closure notes, and whatever you may. So when routing tasks through middle and back office, you can now intelligently automate and orchestrate workflows to be able to simplify processes. And then simultaneously, you're enabling task completion and also reducing time that it takes for you to have to assign work, dispatch help, or resolve customer issues. So that's one way that ServiceNow is transforming field operations to improve productivity and lower cost, right? Now, when we talk about success in this new era, it's not just about adding more AI, it's really about connecting everything together on a simple platform. And, excuse me. And so in this new era, like we said, it's one platform, one data model. We're putting AI into every, business. And this includes field service management. Now, I want to talk about analysis for FSM before Yokohama. So Yokohama is the Q1 and Q2 2025 release, just for our information. And before Yokohama, Xanadu to be precise, which is last year, Q3 and Q4 2024, analysis for FSM offered foundational AI skills across three main functional work areas. So work order tasks, knowledge management, as well as chat, as you can see on the screen. So this, we released Q3 2024 analysis for FSM Xanadu. Starting on the left, we have work order task, which includes AI-driven summarization capabilities for technician work orders within Workspace and the analysis panel. This helps technicians and dispatchers understand task context. It's also important to note that summarization feature here says not started, but this is just a screenshot. Next, we have the knowledge skill, which provides AI capabilities for knowledge management, enabling automatic knowledge article generation based on content and interaction. And then on the right, we have the chat, which supports AI-powered assistance through summarization in chat interactions. So this enhances agent efficiency by distilling conversations into key takeaways, especially very useful for follow-ups or for escalations. And all of these three areas, they represent the groundwork that we laid in Xanadu for scaling AI workflow in field service management. And then also to highlight those further, so in in the Xanadu release for analysis for FSM, we have the prompt configuration giving admins more granular control over how prompts are tuned, or allowing AI also to specify field service scenarios and their business goals. Second, we have the sidebar summarization, which in the previous slide would be referenced as chat, enabling in-app collaboration so agents can stay in flow of work, whether they need to look up their tax context or they need to chat with a colleague, they need to chat with their dispatchers. They don't need to switch tools or have to switch multiple screens. It's right there. And then we have knowledge generation, allowing fulfillers to automatically generate articles based on task interactions or outcomes. This is particularly useful as we see onboarding new technicians, as we see also the generational gap in technician. So with knowledge generation, this supports continuous knowledge growth without having to add any administrative overhead and someone isn't having to do manual labor to write knowledge. Finally, we have work order summarization, which allows for agents to be able to quickly absorb key details from a long task history. This improves efficiency by reducing the time it takes to get up to speed on a job. And with all of these features, the skills really just sets a stage for scaling AI in FSM. And this does not mean that we don't have more AI capabilities in FSM. Although we talk about analysis for FSM, when we talk generally about AI in field service management, we're not just talking about those features or layering automation for the sake of efficiency. So we're fundamentally reimagining how technicians interact with the system and how work gets done in the field. And so on the left, the technician can view complete service history on their mobile device that's powered by AI. This means that they're no longer going blind in the field and they have full visibility into past or known issues and even upcoming tasks. To the right, we also see real-time inventory visibility, field service engineers, um, they can now check part availability and not just in their own trunk, but they can check across their field, across their work, across their depot, and even with nearby technicians. This will help them to save valuable time as well as prevent job delays in case there is a part that's missing, for instance, right? And then at the bottom, we are highlighting a very big time saver, which is generated closure notes. And so rather than having to manually write out summaries after a job, technicians can now use generative AI to instantly draft closure notes, which again reduces admin over time, the time that they're supposed to spend working on the job or even after the job where they're supposed to spend commuting to another job, they're just able to save that time and also help them with writing better or consistent reports across their work order tasks. And ultimately, this is all the things we're doing here at ServiceNow. We're working to give technicians the tools that they need on their mobile device so that they are able to deliver faster and more accurate service. That way they can just focus on the job with the closure notes, checking on inventory. They're not having to be on the phone while driving. They're not having to be on the phone while, texting and trying to figure out parts. They can just check all of that with AI on their mobile device. They don't even have to bring out their computer, which is great. All right, this slides just bring everything together. Everything that we've talked about with, pre-Yokohama, as well as the last slide with AI in field service management. We're really just looking to revolutionize um, service delivery and boost first time fix rate. That is super key that when a technician goes out to a job, they are getting the job done once and getting the job that once efficiently and effectively so that they don't have to come back, which then saves the customer, money, and we want our customers to be happy, right? All right, now let's talk about the Yokohama Q2 2025 release with the Now Assist virtual agent in FSM. We're introducing and happy to introduce the Now Assist virtual agent for FSM. It's our own AI-powered assistant embedded directly in the field service mobile experience. So starting on the left, we see a technician in the field from the mobile app. They now have the ability to be able to ask Now Assist directly from a work order. So this just opens a generative AI-powered assistant that will understand the context of the task, the technician's role, and even prior activities. And once you engage Now Assist virtual agent, they can do two key things. One is to summarize work order tasks. So this includes the issue, actions taken, or next steps. This is incredibly valuable when you're picking up midstream or closing the task with accurate notes. And then we also have a very, very key new feature, which is to answer real-time questions. For instance, we see here how to set up a router or what's the next diagnosis step, right? This is particularly important as we mentioned before, the issue of knowledge gap or generational gap in current field service management environment. And so with pre-programmed knowledge-based articles that we talked about again from Xanadu that we introduced, we can then have the Now virtual agent pull from those knowledge sources. We can have Now virtual agent pull from technician's manual and even previous records right there in the middle of their work. And that way they're not having to call their dispatchers or their colleagues. It's right there, probably from something that someone's previously worked on, or again, a knowledge article that's being generated using the knowledge generation feature that was released in Xanadu. So this is kind of like an on-demand guidance, and it dramatically reduces the time that the technician is going to spend searching or again having to call their dispatchers, their supervisors, and ultimately they're able to get the job done that first time. They're able to get it done right, which increases first time fix rate for the field. So whether they're trying to troubleshoot connectivity or they're trying to close out a job, NAS's virtual agent ensures that help is literally just a tap away. And so technicians are able to work not just smarter, they're able to work faster to get their job done. All right, let me bring this alive real quickly with an example. So here's Teddy Taylor. He's a field service technician. He's repairing a solar system on someone's roof, right? Instead of having to switch between apps right there on the roof, that's also like a safety concern, or having to flip through manuals or having to call someone, bringing out his phone to call someone. Teddy can just ask Now Assist virtual agent, hey, how do I reset this modem, right? And instantly, Teddy gets answers pulled from the knowledge base, from a trusted knowledge base that's already been programmed by his supervisor right there. So he's not having to guess, he's not having to waste his time. And really, this is not just about convenience for Teddy, it's also safety, it's time saving. And so Teddy's able to stay focused, he's able to avoid distractions, and then in turn solve the issue faster. Another example of how Narcissus is showing up for technicians, another tech here, let's say Alex. So Alex has just wrapped up a complex job, and then instead of Alex, he's having to he might need to drive to another location, or he's even tired. He doesn't want to have to type so many notes. Instead of him having to sit down to write a closure note or report, Alex can simply say something like, "Hey, summarize the stack." So the AI kicks in, generates a clean, professional summary, pulling task activities, asset history, relevant context as well. And then Alex is able to just review the notes and have the customer sign and attach it to the case. This has saved Alex valuable time and then is also helping to improve consistency of his notes and reducing the pressure for him to be able to remember every single detail of that job, without assistance. So it also means for technicians that don't like paperwork, it means less paperwork for them. And for customers, it means that there's now a clearer and faster communication. Like the notes that they're getting for them to sign is a lot clearer for them to review and for them to sign. So for technicians, it's a win. For the customers as well that are getting these notes, it's a win. And this slides just brings everything together, right? So in the Yokohama Q2 store release, the first feature that we talked about in the Now Assist in Virtual Agent for FSM is the work order summarization feature. So this is out of box, and our solution basically automatically captures and inputs data like job details, time off, part usage through voice command or AI-driven recognition, which then minimizes bookkeeping effort. So in the field, again, like we talked about in the examples, um, time and the ability of an agent to focus on their task is everything, right? But oftentimes, technicians are they're bogged down by maybe clunky apps and they have to switch between forms or manual data entry, right? And that's really not just frustrating for them. It's also a productivity killer because that's a lot of time that they're having to spend flipping between apps or long forms paperwork, right? So with the Now Assistant Virtual Agent workload summarization feature, um, technicians are now able to capture details like job updates or parts used automatically, which then frees up time to focus on critical job responsibilities. And then the second one, uh, as part of the Now Assist for Virtual Agent in FSM Mobile, is the Q&A search using Now Assist Virtual Agent. So the technicians in the field, oftentimes they face frustrating challenges. Maybe they're expected to solve a problem quickly. It's a last minute job for them, and they're expected to solve it quickly, first time, get it right. But the information is probably scattered across systems. Maybe they have one somewhere, they have to look through different manuals to be able to get something right. Or maybe the information is even outdated, right? And it's unreliable. Oftentimes, this would create delays, it would create errors, and in fact, if there's a generational gap in knowledge or passing down knowledge, it could be a steep learning curve for the new onboarded technicians, right? So with our new Q&A search powered by the Now Assist for Virtual Agents, we're looking to fix that, and we are fixing that. So technicians can now ask natural language questions right in the Now Assist Virtual Agent on mobile, and they get instant, accurate answers from the trusted knowledge bases that's programmed by their admin. So this way, we're reducing search time, cutting down having to switch between multiple apps, and we're giving technicians, no matter how experienced they are, if they're new beginners, if they're experts, we're giving them access to the right answers immediately as they need them. So that's what we are coming out with in the Yokohama Q2 2025. Super, super excited for this. And I'm going to have Chris show us all of this, even including admin setup. Very excited to see the live demo from Chris.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Give me 1 second to make sure I'm authenticated into my instance again. It hasn't timed out. Okay. Hopefully everybody can see my cell phone on the left and my instance on the right. So I'm a child of the 80s, not to date myself, and I was highly influenced by Star Trek, especially the Next Generation. Geordi LaForge, even though they called him an engineer, was really a field technician, in my opinion. He's the field technician of tomorrow, and part of our strategy on the product side is to remember the human when it comes to artificial intelligence. I can't think of a better place to integrate AI with a human than in field service management. Geordi LaForge, when he was fixing a Jeffries tube or a warp core, he can always invoke the computer to help him run a diagnostic. And that's the vision that really inspires me is how do we make humanity and just our species just better in general with technology. It's been difficult lately to try to see that vision, but it's just really at the core of my value in what we want to bring to our field technicians and to our customers. So that's just my preamble. Sorry for the quick preachy moment there. So let's jump into this. So I'm going to tell you a story. On the left here is Alex Ray, and he is trying to install this router. And I'm going to show you just all of the I'm going to do a quick feature demo of all of some of the basic stuff we've had around for a while and then work my way up into the Now Assist virtual agent. So he's relatively new as a technician, and he goes ahead and he starts his work and he installs the router following all the training that he's had. And he starts running into some difficulty. And so he doesn't know what to do. So the first thing that he thinks about is just phoning a friend. So he calls his manager and dispatcher, Lisa, in the office, and it doesn't phone, but he opens up his sidebar chat and he starts a conversation with her. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. This is the first time I'm loading all my screens, so it usually takes a second to load everything the first time through. And while I do that, I'll open up Lisa's chat as well. And just for the sake of time, I've already started this chat because you don't want to see me try to type and fumble my way through all of my text here. Let me open up Lisa's chat. So Alex, he first asked, "Hey, I've got an issue with this install. The router's not powering on, even though I'm using the new PoE switch we shipped last week." So Lisa responds, "Hey, copy that. Is the switch itself getting power? Yeah, the switch is fine. Other ports are lighting up, just not the one I'm using for the router. I swapped cables too, same result." So Lisa just says, "All right, well, can you double check the port config? We pushed a firmware update last week and we disabled the PoE on some default ports." So Alex goes ahead and he tries the recommendation. He switches the port config and everything seems to be working fine. Now, if we were to bring another person into this conversation, or if Alex wants to make sure that he captures this detail on the work order task, he can go ahead and use this little lightning bolt icon and summarize what has happened um, within the conversation. Now, this conversation can be much more lengthy. Uh, it can, like I said, involve multiple people. And when he runs the summarization, what he gets is a summary of everything that has happened. And he can go ahead and share that to the work notes. Now, I've already done that, but I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that in Sidebar, being able to summarize long conversations, and it can happen from both sides. So the same, Lisa can do the same thing on her side, and nothing's actually persisted to the record uh, until um, until you go ahead and share to your work notes. So from Lisa's side, she can now take that task, and I'm not going to close that task because I want to come in later uh, with Now Assist Virtual Agent. But she can now take that knowledge, and we'll pick another task that's already been closed complete, and she can create a knowledge article, and she can use Now Assist here to help her draft it. And what this will do is it will go ahead and create a repeatable thing that can be used by technicians without having to phone a friend. So now we have some data on how to solve a problem. We've been able to capture that in a knowledge article, and we can submit and publish this. Now, during his next 360, Lisa decides to have a quick conversation with Alex and says, "Hey, IT told me they rolled out this new feature. I think to help improve your performance, we could um, we can help you fish instead of give you a fish. So next time you have a problem with the router installation, instead of actually phoning a friend and taking up two people's time, why don't you try using the Now Assist virtual agent first?" And you can get to it a couple ways. You can either click the little overflow icon at the top and get to Now Assist there at the bottom, or you can be on the record that you're actually working, and through the same gesture, because it's a different menu, the Ask Now Assist is there as well. And what this will do is it will launch this new virtual agent experience. So now, if Alex were really Geordie LaForge in this use case, this is the beginnings of him asking the computer to run a diagnostics. A lot can happen here. So we ship a few things out of the box, but because we're a platform and we've been going gangbusters on Now Assist and there's all kinds of features, admins can configure this to do a variety of things. I'm only going to show you a couple here. This is totally extensible. Um, so the first one is, I think Salmat explained this, is, well, we'll start with the question. So he can come in and he could say, ask his question here instead of on his chat to his manager. And he can say, And forgive me for my fat finger typing. I have, callous thumbs, I guess. And now what happens is we're using the power of LLMs to search through all of the available curated content. So anything we have stored as a knowledge base article, it can come out and it will find an answer and be able to provide that to Alex Ray just in real time. So now Alex Ray gets his answer just by learning how to fish instead of phoning his friend. Other things can happen here as well. You can actually interact you could turn on the catalog and have actionable requests. You can define other new topics and use the skill kit to define all your other in your own skills. Right now, we can just use summarization because we shipped this one out of the box. Summarize this record. And this is the same skill being invoked here just to give Alex, an understanding of what's actually happened on this record. Oh, let me just use because of live demos, there's always some some quirk that happens. And so Alex can now actually get a debriefing of that record himself. This is the same summarization that we use when we actually do the close notes as well. But the idea here is that he always gets an understanding of what's happening on this record. So this new conversational interface is kind of just the beginning. We've got a lot of surprises coming the rest of this year with agentic AI and field service management. But this conversational interface will actually help Alex interact with other automations like agentic AI and other workflow defined topics as well. So we'll actually support both of those through a conversational interface. I've actually seen customers doing interesting things here as well, like creating topics with integrations into just like ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, and just allowing GPT type question answers as well. And then, of course, we're going to have full integration with Intel or document intelligence and be able to support the ability to evaluate and summarize files and images through the same conversational interface. So let's quickly talk about just the admin configuration of this as well and kind of get to what it takes to actually set this up. Sorry, I'm not great at multitasking, so if I'm trying to click on something, I usually stutter in between my sentences. So as an admin, if you've already played with Now Assist, that's great. This might be a little bit of a review. If not, this might be new. But just by clicking Now Assist, you can go to our Now Assist admin or our admin controller, or admin center. And all of the skills that we ship out of the box for every BU can be defined here if you have the plugins enabled. And I think Salman already kind of mentioned the importance of being on a single platform. A lot of the skills and capabilities are reused across platforms. So you're developing and maintaining it once. Doesn't matter if you're in ITOM or if you're in customer relations management and you have field service or customer service management. Right now we have 3 skills active and configured. What's important here from an admin point of view is that you have some control here. Yes, everything's managed and governed here. We do have Guardian in place that admins can configure to make sure that good behavior is being practiced by the users of these LLMs. You can also configure your own prompts. And one of the recommendations I have, just if you're starting this journey and you're trying to come up with a pattern or adopt AI into your business strategy, is start small. Maybe start with our out-of-the-box skills, get those working. And each of these skills has its own configuration you can go into. In this case, with the sidebar summarization, you can see, you can define, very, very simply what the trigger is, which tables you're pulling data from. You can define the display. Each skill has its own walkthrough, but more importantly is you can configure and tweak the prompt. So if you want a different format or you want a different tone or a different display, you can go ahead and do that. If you want different data, so you want to include, maybe custom tables into what we summarize. The sidebar isn't a good example of that, but work order task summarization is, because maybe you have, custom stuff that you're pulling data from. So admins have that control here. You also can define your own skills through our skill kit. So besides what we ship, the platform also has its own ability to create and ship your own skills. Those can all be made available on mobile as well. So there's a lot here to consume. I won't be able to step you through all of that. I want to talk about Now Assist Virtual Agent and what actually can go into there, and maybe answer a few questions. So inside of the conversational interfaces, you'll see this new option for assistance. It may have been around for a while, but we do include a Now Assist Virtual Agent for FSM. And just like the other skills, it has a configurable step-by-step uh, configuration that admins have some control over. One of the things is you can define which skills are available in your Now Assist Virtual Agent. You can see I have 2 turned on now, but there are many that will be available here out of the box. And then also you have the ability to extend this and expand it with your own dev built or partner built capabilities. I didn't have catalog turned on, but that can be turned on as an actionable event. Other flows and workflows, AI agents can also be turned on and invoked through the conversational interface as well. We'll be shipping many of these out of the box in the future that will help technicians perform work that they find as busy work. You can define your experience, your display experience. So it doesn't have to just exist in mobile. It can exist also in portals and other channels. And then really important is you're not limited to just knowledge base when it comes to uh, pulling content from curated sources. Pretty much anything we support an integration with in the future will also be supported. So I know right out of the box, as of today, you can go ahead and use SharePoint as an external content. So instead of just pulling data from your knowledge base, it can also be a manual that you have in a SharePoint. It can also be in Confluence. And then I know in the future, if it's not supported already, Google Drive and other document sites as well can be used for that question answer experience. Of course, you define your own branding if you want, and there's some other chat experiences that your admins have some control over, like the welcoming message and the ending message as well. And then you can just, your admins can just test it all right here before launching it and going live. So this is generally what we have in Yokohama. And I know that was a quick demo, but I want to be able to let people ask any questions they have, and then maybe answer them in real time. So thanks for letting me share that with you, and live long and prosper.
Thank you so much, Chris, for sharing a live demonstration with us. Thank you for Matt for going through the G2 review as well. And thank you all for attending to this session. We're super grateful. And we have more sessions coming up. We have on June 18, the FSM, best leading practices for FSM implementation. We have someone from our expert services, Elif. She would be speaking to us about leading best practices. Please join us for that session. And also scan the Live on ServiceNow barcode to view more sessions coming up in the nearest future, not just for FSM, but for anything you'd like to learn across ServiceNow. And thank you so much.